So let's get into our first topic, and that is this whole Scream 70. So I was not expecting us to be hearing stuff this early in regards of what's going on with Scream. With all the stuff that was going on with that, with Melissa Barrera being fired because she, the pro-Palestine stuff, and then, Spyglass decided to go in on her and set an example. And then Jenna Ortega claiming that, she decided to drop out because of scheduling conflicts. But then people are saying that, yeah, I guess she stood in solidarity in so many ways with Melissa Barrera, so she's not coming back. But then post those movies, a lot of the films that she's done hasn't really done well. That what is it called? Hurry Up Tomorrow with The Weekend, came and went like a wet fart. Then she did that unicorn movie, which I heard is really good, but it didn't do really well. Yes, Beetlejuice did well, and we're getting a Beetlejuice, which is the third installment. I'm sure that's what they're gonna call it. I mean, you'd be dumb not to call it that. So she's Beetlejuice was successful, but the reason why that was successful is because that's a pre-existing IP. People were going to come see that film because it was Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder, and then all the other people that they had up in there. And then, of course, Jenna Ortega definitely fits in that whole mold. So it made sense to kind of slither her in somewhere to play the daughter of Lydia Dietz. So hence where, sidebar, where Lydia Boho Collins got her name from. Lydia, Lydia, her name is from Lydia in Beetlejuice. But anyway, so with all that other stuff, and then we had Christopher Landon, who was dragged because he jumped in on a situation, was trying to make the movie. This was his dream project, but then people started threatening his kids and all this other stuff, so he dropped out and went off and made Drop, which I heard was really good. I still haven't gotten around to watching that movie yet. I definitely want to check it out. Like, I'd want to rent it, but I feel like by the time I get around to renting that movie, it's probably going to end up like all these other films, and it's going to be on streaming by like next week, and I'm going to be mad because I'm like, I basically could have just waited a little bit instead of spending the money. Uh, So there was that. But then it all came full circle. Drama came, after they couldn't get all the other people back, they did tour the core four to show up in the new film. Guy Busick did speak on, like, there's a way that they were able to bring them in and which one of the characters helped bring those two out of the four back into the fold. He also spoke about Sidney Prescott and a whole bunch of other things because, of course, Neve Campbell was not a part of the franchise. Y'all sidelined her in part 5. You didn't want to give her what she was owed financially in Scream 6, hence why she wasn't in the movie. And now that things didn't go the way that you wanted to go because of the way that Spyglass reacted, I felt like that out of sheer desperation, they ran over there and was like, okay, now what do we do? We're panicking. We need to come up with a story. Sydney, even though they kind of pretty much said that she had her happy ending in Scream 6. But it was just like, okay, so if she had her happy ending, then why are y'all revisiting her instead of starting over? And I think maybe they were just scared that, okay, we start over with a brand new cast of characters, especially when we just got the ball rolling with people getting used to this core four, that people won't come see this movie. So let's jump into familiar territory and let's go revisit Sidney Prescott and what she's got going on over there. So that's my overall theory on the situation with her, and I'm sticking to it. So, I mean, y'all don't have to agree with me, but that's just how I feel. So, I believe Guy Busick, who is one of the writers, well, he wrote it with James Vanderbilt. Like, they both wrote like 5 and 6. But now this one, I think Guy Busick kind of did this one by himself, and then oh my god, I just forgot his name and I just said it. So it was like, but then they came with James Vanderbilt. He came up with the story with him, but I think Guy Busick was more or less the writer. But I think this whole interview stemmed about because Guy Busick actually co-wrote Final Destination Bloodlines. And it's funny how I enjoyed Final Destination Bloodlines, but I did not really like his writing in Scream 5 and 6. I just felt like, because of as being a hardcore Scream fan, I just feel like, yeah, I don't have no problem with y'all trying to come in and try new things with trying to zhuzh up the franchise, but this didn't feel very Scream-esque to me. I just felt like there was just, I think maybe, and I think this is what it was. I was disappointed a lot in the third act. The third act in Scream 5 was like, it's all right. Although I love Mikey Madison. She ate up that role. Scream 6, that whole third act irritated my entire spirit. So, hopefully we've gotten better with this. But anyway, let's get into the story. So I just want to set all that up before we get into everything else, in case you need a reminder. So now it says the original Scream 7 with Barrera and Ortega was a completely different thing. This is what Guy Busick tells Comic Book in an interview pegged to Final Destination Bloodlines, which he also co-wrote. He said, we weren't able to use what we had in the previous iteration of this one. We just had to start from scratch, which was a bummer. He also went on to say, we were excited about what we had for that movie. We wanted to do one more core 4 movie, Busick continues, of the 4 friends introduced together in the 2022 legacy sequel, Scream. We know the fans love these characters. We love these characters. We created those characters. I would love to see in some universe the continuation of those characters in some way, but we weren't able to port over the stuff from the other story. It was like, okay, here is what the universe dealt us. We always wanted to do a Sydney movie, so it was like, all right, let's go into it. And now, and why this one? I don't know if I believe him on that, because he said we've always wanted to do a Sydney movie. Really? Because y'all treated Sydney like shit in Scream 5. I felt like y'all sidelined her, and because you had to have Mikey Madison's character, Amber, kill off what's her name, Amber? I think it was. But anyway, so I would just say Mikey Madison. So y'all had Mikey Madison, which a lot of people still side. I'm like, there's no way in hell that little ass girl killed Dewey. There's no way, but we'll just go along with it. Let's suspend our disbelief. So y'all had Mikey Madison kill off Dewey, and that was the only way that y'all found a way to bring in Sydney when y'all pretty much benched her and Gail. Y'all just kind of but y'all wanted to really focus on your new characters, and this is what new people do. This is when you under new management, and we all used to the other people that we had over there before. Then y'all want to come in and bring in some new people, and it's like, well, screw them other people. We don't really know them like that, so we're gonna come in and create our own little situation and focus more on them, and we just gonna sideline them other people until they just want to either quit or they end up getting fired. And if Sydney has had to, well, Neve Campbell has had to carry this franchise on her back for 4 of the movies, and then y'all sideline her in 5 because Wes Craven's not around anymore, I just felt that was ultimate disrespect. So now y'all sitting up here saying, so when he goes and says, we always wanted to do a Sydney movie, so I was like, all right, let's get to it. I don't think that's what that was. I think Spyglass panicked, and they told y'all, okay, we just need to, what are we going to do? We need to revisit Sydney because the fandom is already pissed off. We shot our wad too early. We reacted instead of just calling Melissa Barrera in, having a conversation, seeing where she was coming from, because she didn't say nothing negative. The issue that I have a lot with people, especially when it comes to being pro-Palestine and giving a damn about innocent babies, children, mothers, and fathers who have nothing to do with being terrorists. If you want to say, like, yes, this is a mass genocide, what you're doing to these people is incorrect. Like, I just saw a video earlier of, like, people who are literally out here, like, they're preventing food and medicine and all kinds of aid of getting into Gaza to help these people, get what they need to get. You're starving them now. When you can't blow them up, you starve them. And then the ones that survive, then you want to ship them off to, I guess, Yemen or Jordan or wherever else. This is what's going on. And the fact that if you speak about this, if you call it out, then you're called a Zion. I mean, not a Zionist, because them Zionists and other people over there that apparently want this genocide that keep happening because they feel like that they should be able to get that Gaza is rightfully theirs or the West Bank is rightfully theirs. And it's like, no, that's just straight up Zion. That's just flat out terrorism. That's what that is. And I don't give a good goddamn who feels away. Netanyahu is a goddamn terrorist. He really is, and should be locked up for his crimes that he's committing. And the fact that America is using our taxpaying dollars to fund this is pissing me off. Don't get me wrong. I was pissed off with the last administration, but I already knew once this new administration got in, it was going to be 10 times worse. And here we are. So Melissa Barrera calling this out does not mean that she is pro-Hamas. And that is always the argument that a lot of people try to use to justify their BS and what's happening over there. Oh, well, then you must be pro-Hamas. No, that's not what that means. Now, and then, or they try to throw in the whole thing. When I speak about that, well, they want to, they don't like gay people. They hang gay people and they do. I said, so there are also queer Muslims. I've encountered a few. I've befriended a few. I've had conversations with a few of those queer Muslims. So just because you are a part of that world doesn't necessarily mean you 110% agree with what you were raised to believe. We could say the same thing about Catholicism. I was raised to be Catholic, and the homophobia that's in that world, I don't agree with that. But I was raised in that world. That doesn't mean I agree with it. So I think people need to understand that you can separate the things. You can call out Hamas and say that yeah, terrorism is wrong on either side. But why are you punishing someone for having this? Because then this goes to show that who's the ones that's out here controlling the media, the government, and all these other situations. Hence why they did what they did. So I can see why they were pissed over there, at Spyglass, and they decided to go in on her. And now the fans have kind of shown the back, not kind of, they have. They've gotten the backlash. So I believe y'all panicked. And that's why y'all went after Sidney Prescott. Let's bring Sidney back. So that's what I believe on this situation. So then, speaking of Sidney Prescott, he did address. So they said, yeah, so why bring back Sidney now and why in Scream 7? After all, Gail told Sam and Tara in 6 she deserves her happy ending. Saying, quote, I don't want to give anything away about the reason Scream 7 had to be a Sidney movie. I think I pretty much gave y'all an idea. Well, it's a theory. My theory, but it's a theory. To be a Sidney movie because there's a really cool reason. In all these movies, you have to ask, why now? What is the thing Scream is commenting on now? Scream is always in a conversation with the audience about the state of movies and state of horror movies, and in particular franchises. And so, yeah, why he didn't really say what was going on, it's like, okay, there's a lot of things that's going on with horror films. Right now, we're in this whole boom of nostalgia, horror nostalgia, like, or legacy sequels, which is like Halloween 2018, and we had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that horrible one that I don't even want to think about, that was on Netflix. Like, when you go and you look back at prior characters and then you just do a whole legacy sequel or that sort of thing, or, the rumors about the AI, hence how we get, some characters back, like Stu and Sydney's brother, who was the director, Roman Bridgers, and then we also get Dewey, which I also feel like they panicked by starting to reveal who the characters were that were coming back. Oh, we're getting all these people that are making a comeback. And I understand next year is the 30th anniversary of Scream, so they might be doing this as a look back or whatever. But the AI thing definitely, resonates in my brain as that's probably the direction they're going to go. But I do feel like they could have kept some of it a secret. And even David Arquette said he was surprised that they revealed his that he was going to be in the movie. And also I heard Matthew Lillard said, yeah, I was supposed to find out that he was in the movie through the commercial. And so I do feel like with all this stuff leaking, that was Spyglass panicking yet again because of the online noise. They try to act like they don't hear it, but trust and believe, they got their ears to the streets. So yeah, they said, so what was it? Okay, it said, in all these movies, you have to ask, why now? What is the thing Scream is commenting on now? Scream is always in a conversation with the audience about the state of movies, the state of horror movies, and in particular, franchises. Busick seems to suggest that the meta horror franchise's 7th entry is a commentary on the trend of the legacy sequel, which I just said, like 2018's Halloween, 2022's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2023's The Exorcist Believer, which was terrible, and thank God that David Gordon Green is no longer attached to The Exorcist Believer, and 2025's upcoming I Know What You Did Last Summer, decades later sequels and quasi-reboots that brought back original characters and actors. 2022 Scream got in on the legacy quote by reuniting the trio of Gail, Sidney, and Dewey for the first time since 2011. And he said, quote, there is a really specific reason why Sidney is in the movie. I will say there is a reason, and we were happy with it when we cracked it. We went to Nev Campbell and said, this is why Sidney now. And that was like, oh, I get that. I pitched Kevin Williamson this first too. He got it and then I pitched the studio. I came up with the story, and my co-writer on Scream 5 and 6, James Vanderbilt. It's funny, I kept forgetting his name. Now, screenwriter Kevin Williamson, who also penned the screenplays for 1997's Scream 2 and Scream 4, which came out in 2011, is making his series directorial debut after taking over from Happy Death Day director Christopher Landon, who dropped out of the dream job that turned into a nightmare in December of 2023. And I already told y'all in the beginning as to why he dropped out of the franchise because of, the online trolls and stuff. So now Busick credits Vanderbilt for the idea of bringing the Meeks Martin twins into Scream 7 without the other half of the core four. He says, I believe it was James who came up with it. I want to give credit where credit is due, but it was an organic way why they would be in the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say it's through Gail. She is the connective tissue in 5 and 6, and she's in this. New York was obviously a big part of that. She bonded with those four, and there's a reason why these two come to this town where the action is happening. And yeah, they said that they're not going to mention exactly what the town is. Some people think it's Seattle. I know they shot the film in Georgia, but you know, when you shoot in certain places, you can make it look like anything. And so we don't know if it's Woodsboro. If I was Sydney, I would never go back to Woodsboro. Like, so much stuff has happened there. It's like, girl, move to another state. Like, who would continue to stay in after 30 damn years of people constantly trying to kill you? Like, I would stay in Woodsboro, but I don't think that's where they're staying. I've heard that it might be Seattle or some kind of, like, I've heard little weird things, but we'll find out when the movie comes out. But they said, yeah, or the as yet unnamed town where City is in hiding. Busick couldn't say. He said, it's not New York. I don't want to be the one to spoil where it is. It's an unspecified amount of time. After 6, I might get contradicted by other people, but in my mind, more than 2 years. I would say at least 2 years. It could be 2 years, but I would say 2 years plus. And I know some people probably be like, well, how can it be 2 years? Because remember when she did Scream 5, the kids was lit up. I'm like, have y'all never seen like TV shows or movies or even soap operas where 1 week the child's 5 years old, the next week they're a damn teenager for summer sweeps? Like, this is what they do in movies. Movies is not real. It's a suspension of disbelief. So if you need to do a thing where you do a time jump and you age somebody's children when the last time you see them they was infants, we could suspend our disbelief. If people have a hard time with that, it's like, okay, like, do you not know how movies work? That's like when I'm seeing videos and stuff on social media and they show like green screens and people on wires and they're like, oh my God, it looks so fake. I'm like, are you stupid? Like, that's literally how movies work. Movies are not real. It's pretend. People get paid millions of dollars, sometimes a little 100,000. But if you in that $1 million club, some people get paid lots of money to pretend to be this character. That's not really them. If you want to see something real, watch a damn documentary. Like, I just don't understand people's brains some damn times. But me, I don't feel like it's a big issue. If they find a way to like, okay, we're doing a time jump and they do something like that where it's like a couple of years and people are like, well, that's not possible because she had this kid in this year and they can't be that age. Like, if you can't suspend your disbelief, then there's no hope for you. So now, adding to the mystery, they said Dewey, who was killed off in 5, is somehow returning. Arquette reprises his role alongside Lillard and Scott Foley's Roman Bridger, both killed off Ghostfaces. New cast members include Joe McHale as Sydney's husband, Mark, who remember was supposed to be Patrick Dempsey, but because I believe of scheduling conflicts or something or another, he wasn't able to do it, so they had to go do a little switcheroo and bring him up in there. And Isabel May, who is from the show 1883. She plays Sydney's daughter. Actors, cast in undisclosed roles include Anna Camp, who I absolutely love, by the way. I've always loved me some Anna Camp, and I'm just glad that she's finally getting her just due. I heard she's also dating a woman. How you doing? But she was in Pitch Perfect. She's a new friend in Sydney's in the movie, and some people think she might be the Ghostface. I just hope, like, I mean, if she is, okay, but I don't like when people always start with their theories. This is why I try to stay as far away from other conspiracy theories on social media as possible, because I feel like y'all just going to ruin this damn movie for me. But also, Mark Consuelos is in it from Riverdale, Ethan Embry, Asa Gurman, Sam Reckner, Michelle Randolph, Jimmy Tatro, Celeste O'Connor, and McKenna Grace. Now, I like the fact that a lot of these people in here, like, not a lot of people are familiar with, except for maybe like McKenna Grace. We're familiar with her because she was in Ghostbusters. That last one sucked, but she was in the Ghostbusters reboot. Speaking of reboots or requels, and then some people, yeah. So a couple of people here, not a lot of people's familiar with, and I always like that in my horror movies, where it's just like, okay, they're not really big names, like you may have seen their face, but they look familiar and all that other stuff. But okay, so now to wrap all this up, Scream 7 is supposed to come into theaters on February 27, 2026. I'm actually hoping and praying that they find a way to boost this film up to like October of this year, because my thing is they finished shooting this about what 2-3 months ago. Marco Beltrami's is back working on the score. I think the last time he worked on the score was Scream 4, so now he's coming back. So it's like they're getting all the gang back, which is great. And I've always liked Marco Beltrami's music with the franchise. So he's supposed to be coming back. And so that means the movie's probably almost done in post. And I feel like if they can get all the music and everything done in time, why not release it? Because the word on the curb is that they've already up, they like what they see in Scream 7, Spyglass, I should say. And they're ready to offer, or they may have offered, this is a rumor, um, Kevin Williamson the next two movies, because apparently they're doing two more Scream movies. I guess they're trying to plan this as a trilogy of sorts. So they're looking to Kevin Williamson to come back, and I'm like, okay, that's smart. First of all, Kevin Williamson has already been part of the franchise. He created the original Scream, so he's familiar with all those characters. And then him coming back, it's like, yeah, Wes Craven is gone. I'm sure he learned a lot from being up under the wing of Wes Craven when, Scream was screaming. And he could bring a lot of that in here. He has the trust of a lot of people. He's an easy choice. So that way, y'all won't windmill on him too much, because and that was smart on Spyglass's part as well, that they were able to bring him in for that whole situation, because it's like, we know Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson has been part of the franchise since day one, and people won't go too hard on him, because if we pick any other director, y'all gonna go and bully them to the point where they don't want to do the damn movie. But if he comes in, y'all won't go so hard. And no shade, but it worked. So now, I'm sure you probably got some pushback a little bit, but it's like, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. You're either going to see it or you don't. I mean, the movie's done. It's going to come out. Whether or not you want to see it, it's up to you. So, to wrap all this up, so I want them to bump that up, because they said they're doing Scream 8 and 9. And Scream 8, they're talking about they're going to film it this summer, I believe. And I'm like, if they do that, then y'all can film that through the summer, and then by the time Scream 7 comes out, you're already wrapped. You just got to worry about editing and all the other stuff. And then Scream 8 can come out next year in time for the 30th anniversary of the original Scream. So that's what I was hoping. But look, they're going to do what they're going to do with this movie. It is what it is. So, they don't want me to put it on Ghostface. We'll just leave it on David Arquette. So to wrap up this whole thing, because I did write a whole lot, I think I pretty much said all I needed to say on this. So at the end of the day, I'm just hoping that the movie's good. I know like the momentum really isn't like, I don't know if are people that excited for a Scream 7 movie? Like, I like the franchise. I like Nev Campbell. I've always been a fan of Sidney Prescott. So I'm just more or less curious out of anything to see what they're going to do with this franchise. But, the horror franchise, the fandom, we're a loyal bunch. So if the film is good, people will support it. And I just hope that, like I said, they consider releasing Scream 7 in February, and then bump from February and bump it to like October this year. And so, yeah, that's all I got to say on it. I know that was a lot, but it was just like dealing with Scream. It's a lot to break down when I'm talking about a franchise that I'm very passionate about. So I say all this to you. What do you guys think of this story, on what Guy Busick had to say about the upcoming Scream movie? Yeah, I know he didn't say a whole lot, but I mean, I don't want him to, because I want to be wowed and surprised when I go in to see this franchise. I don't like when people spill too much about the thing, and then I'm annoyed because all the spoilers is out there, and I want to go in and actually get my little Scooby-Doo on when I'm watching the franchise. And then I also heard Sarah Michelle Gellar say that because all the other people come back from the dead, she wanted CC Cooper to come back. And I'm like, girl, you wasn't that, I mean, no shade. I liked her kill scene. When the way she was killed over, she was memorable in that part. But girl, you wasn't given enough for us to want to care about them bringing back Cece. So, no, I love you, SMG, but not enough for that. Now, I would have preferred if you wanted to come back as Helen Shivers, not as Cece Cooper. So, I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.